My name is Michael Rainsborough, and I am a British academic. Um, I currently work in Australia, although for the past 25 years, prior to that, I was working at King's College London. I am a strategic theorist by academic disciplinary training. I worked my way up at King's, eventually to the head of Department of War Studies. The story really starts around 2018, 2019. So really quite a while ago now, but I think the whole episode illustrated how the universities were going in the direction of ideological conformity, being very suspicious of free speech. I have always had an interest in what you might call issues of culture war. I did my PhD back in the day on the Northern Ireland conflict, and that in itself exposed me to the extremely sort of tense issues around identity. And if you like, I had an early preview of where a culture war ultimately leads. Around 2018, as a result of my interest in culture war, and also in response to a lot of interest from the student body, who were also very much interested in these brewing ideas around cultural discourse and culture war, I decided to set up a speaker series, and it was called Endangered Speeches. And it was aimed really to simply civilize the discourse around this somewhat sensitive or increasingly sort of sensitive topic. It was meant to be a pluralistic exercise. It was simply intended to expose students to different points of view, and to really just facilitate what should be the meat and drink of any university discourse, which is, the freedom to develop ideas, to explore ideas, and to discuss different points of view. It was all organized completely by the book. It wasn't a freelancing exercise at all. So it was organized by my professional events team that I had in the department. And it was advertised on the university web pages as well. And so the first speaking event we organized, we invited a very well-known educationalist, Joanna Williams, to come to speak to us on academic conformity in the universities. She'd just written this very good book on that subject. Joanna came, she gave a really good talk, and nothing happened. There was no controversy. Everybody left enlightened and informed. It was a really good debate. So absolutely nothing happened. The following day, after this speaking event, faculty dean called me to one side and really started berating me for this speaker series. He said that I had brought my department into disrepute. He didn't articulate why. He said that the speaker series, which was all about culture war, had nothing to do with war. What was I doing? I said to him that, well, that's nonsense, because the whole ideas of culture and disputes around cultural values are the very essence of the causality of war. But clearly, he was very, very worked up about this for reasons I couldn't understand, and I still don't understand to this day, because I couldn't follow his reasoning at all. But he said that we needed to organize a meeting between himself and my immediate sort of manager above me. And so that was arranged for the following week. So I attended that meeting, and that was frankly another unintelligible harangue. I couldn't make head or tail of what they were trying to say. They said things like I was disingenuous for holding this speaker series, that I was naive as well. I don't know how you can be naive and disingenuous at the same time. So nothing that they said made sense to me. I don't know whether they had a coherent understanding of what they were meant to be arguing either. I discerned that they were not critiquing me for any sort of competence issues. They were sort of critiquing me for not being in ideological conformity. But they weren't able to argue that position because, in theory, I guess they needed to show that they were theoretically committed to free expression, but in practice, clearly they were revealing themselves to be not so. I did not back down on wanting to continue with this series, and there was a lot of pressure put on me to simply curtail it, but I refused to do so. And I was reluctantly kind of allowed to proceed with the speaker series. I suspect that my card was marked, and that I had very much queered my pitch with the university management as a result of holding this speaking event. If I could give a little bit of a background, I was someone who actually worked for the European communities. I had been someone who was actually very pro the EEC back in the day, but I had worked out through a process of honest evaluation, perhaps around 1988, that I felt that Britain's membership, what was to become the European Union, was incompatible with British values and so British historical traditions. That was my honest opinion. I understand that it's something which can legitimately be debated. So, come the era of the referendum to leave the European Union, I made no secret of my position, and to me that seemed to be all part and parcel of just engaging in normal civil discourse. As head of department, I never ever propagandized my position within the department. Anything that I said was always external to it. I co-wrote a short article which was clearly backing the whole idea of Britain's decision to leave the European Union. And this was around 2019. And some of my colleagues clearly saw this, and they decided to, what I can only say is, denounce me to higher authority. And they went to this particular executive dean, who I think I probably already queered my pitch with, and clearly they wanted me out of the way. I was told by my faculty dean to have a meeting with him, and that meeting didn't take place in any sort of privacy. It was held in a open cafe in the vicinity of the college, in full sort of view and earshot of anyone. I listened to what the dean had to say, and he, basically said something along the lines of, "Well, people are unhappy with you." Again, very, not very explicit. Just these vague sort of assertions that some people, a minority of people, I assume, were not happy with what I'd said or written about the Brexit situation. And he said, we should be looking towards we should be looking towards you stepping down from the head of departmentship and someone new in the role. I didn't really say very much during this meeting, except to say that I didn't agree with any of his analysis. But I would be open to having a conversation with him the following week. And in the interim, I sought legal advice, and the advice that I received was that I probably did have a case if I wanted to take this further, but it would be very time-consuming, probably quite costly and stressful. So I had a conversation the following week on the phone with this faculty dean, and again I reiterated that I didn't accept anything that he said or any of the reasoning or pass for the reasoning, that they wanted me to step down early, and but I said that I would be willing to reach some sort of accommodation with them. And let me say that this was pre the Free Speech Union days. I think if I had been a member of the FSU then I would have approached things very differently. But these were the days, as I say, before the Free Speech Union was formed. So I was sort of, I used to say, so I was cancelled before it became fashionable to be cancelled, and so I stepped away from the head of department and served out my period of study leave. The end result was obviously a considerable amount of alienation from an institution which I once held in extremely high regard as a sort of real intellectual home. I regarded King's College as some of which had treated me very well until these final few years. I have an approach which was essentially, as long as I feel that I am trying my best and have endeavored to equip myself to the best of my abilities in line with my values, I wasn't too concerned about what people thought of me. That said, you did feel a frisson in the department, the way that people did. You got a sense that people were either tiptoeing around me, they were reluctant to converse with me. Certainly, there were a number of long-term colleagues, some of whom I considered friends, who simply disappeared on me, completely ghosted me entirely. What I did find is that some people who I agreed to co-write academic articles with, they suddenly dropped out of contact and left me in the lurch. So it was sort of quite difficult. And of course, there were people who are good people there, and I know who they are, and they, even though they couldn't stick their heads above the parapet, nevertheless, I know that they did not share the view that I should have been treated the way that I was treated. Nevertheless, what I came to an understanding about, and as I think a lot of people who have been confronted with these sorts of situations, is that in the end, there are very few people who do actually stand up for you, even people who might rhetorically be on your side. I think that there are far too many people who simply hope that the crocodile is going to eat them last, and They just want to keep their heads down and hope that that they don't become in the or they don't get in the firing line. It became sort of quite salutary for me to actually see that there were quite a lot of my colleagues, um, both in my department and also throughout the rest of the university, who, in my view, were simply prepared to trade away their intellectual and scholarly credibility um, by aligning themselves with particular activist stances, which, to my mind, refuted the very idea of being in a academic profession. When it came for me to leave, uh, having served for 25 years at King's and contributed to the life and work of the department, I think in a fairly full manner. When it came to me leaving, my reputation was such that I didn't receive any word of thanks or acknowledgement for anything that I had done, and I was literally not given a buy as you leave, and I say that not out of any sort of resentment or bitterness at all, but I think I would just say that it was an indication of where the institution was going, which was in a not very healthy direction. What I found is that trying to stay true to one's values, and trying to just simply have a regard for the truth as one sees it, trying to deal in facts and evidence and arguments to reach a considered position, um, is is its own reward. I think the pursuit of truth is its own reward. I have an interest in dissent and the nature of resistance, and one of my intellectual heroes was or is the Czech playwright and dissident Václav Havel, and he said that the human spirit has a striving to live in truth. And I think if we as academics, seek to live in truth, then I think that is the most fulfilling goal that we can possibly maintain.